Now that all the skins are finished, we can move on to the electronics and to the turf. Next, take the large piece of turf, unfold it inside of the booth. And when you unfold it, make sure that the cutout is towards the golfer. So you will have a notch missing in the front of the turf. Once the turf is laid out, we're going to fold it back like a paper airplane so that we can run wires underneath of it. Take this corner, fold it back, take this corner, and also fold it back. Now we are going to run the two left and right microphone wires. Take your two shorter BNC cables. They have the end that looks like this. We're going to take two more of the microphones that were supplied to you. Now we're going to be working with just one microphone wire. As we run a microphone wire, so you're going to want to take the black TruGolf 2 control box and set that right in front of the cutout in the turf. Next, take the microphone wire that we just assembled. You can set most of the wire near the TruGolf box and run it underneath the turf to the left side microphone pocket. Take the microphone and slide it in to the back of the sleeve so that the microphone is facing towards the screen, with the wire coming out of the back of the sleeve going to the control box. As you run the microphones, make sure that you hook them up one by one. So we just ran the left microphone. I'm going to take the cable that I just ran and plug it into where it is labeled as left microphone. We're going to want to coil the excess cable so that it will be resting underneath the turf. And now we're going to take the right microphone cable, and just like on the other side, we're going to feed the microphone in from the back of the sleeve forward so that the wire is coming out of the back, going to the control box, so the microphone facing the screen. And remember, when hooking up the microphone wires, do them one at a time. We already ran the left and hooked it up, now we ran the right, and we are going to plug that in to the TruGolf 2 control box, to the BNC connector that is labeled as right mic. You'll remember, we already ran the top microphone wire when we did the top and side skin. So now, take that excess wire, leave the coil underneath the turf, and there will only be one microphone slot available left, which should be the top mic. We're going to have our computer and touchscreen monitor on top of this glass entertainment stand, which is available through us. We're going to run all of the cables from the projector, which is going to be in the center of the turf, to back here. To make lining everything up easier, we can unfold this side of the turf, and now we'll know exactly where the projector is going to be going inside of this cutout. I'm going to be running the HDMI cable from the computer to the projector. Your HDMI cable may have a label on each end. It may be labeled as display and source. Source is going to be at the computer and display is going to be at the projector. So now, we'll set the HDMI cable down so that there is a small amount of excess where the projector will be. This can just run along with these two cables to the back of the computer. Next, we'll take the large Belkin power strip, and that's going to be set down at the end of where the projector will go, with its wire running the same as the others. Now, take the supply projector and its power cable, plug the power cable into the projector. Also, we're going to take the HDMI cable that we ran earlier and plug it into the slot labeled HDMI. We can set that in its spot, plug in the power for the projector, tuck the wire underneath. Next, we will be using the serial cable to connect the TruTrack 2 box to the computer. The serial cable has two separate ends. One end will plug into the TruTrack 2 control box, and one will plug into the computer. Plug it in, secure the two thumb screws, run the serial cable along with everything else. Next, we're going to take the power wire for the TruTrack 2 control box. For now, we can ignore the plug labeled ground, and we are going to plug the power wire into the very top connector that is labeled 9-volt DC power. Make sure that is snug, and plug the other end into the power strip. Ensure that the power strip is turned on. Next, take the piece of the stance mat with the cutout in it, and we're going to set that directly behind where the projector goes. When setting the stance mat down, you will notice that one side is thicker than the other side. This is only about 3.5–4 inches, and this is about 6 inches. We're going to need the 6-inch side to be at the back of the simulator. When you set this down, you'll notice that the TruTrack 2 control box is now inside of the cutout, with the thin side closest to the screen. The reason the thin side of the stance mat is here is so that the light can be closer to the tracking system. Next, take your two pieces of stance mat and attach them as shown. Now we're going to take the ribbon cable and the tracking system and put them into the stance mat cutout. We're going to take the ribbon cable, plug in either side of the ribbon cable to the back of the tracking system by lining up the key and pushing down, and when you're done, both tabs should be completely parallel with the side of the connector. And now we're going to take the other side and plug it into the TruTrack 2 control box. When you put the tracking system into the stance mat cutout, make sure that the single black dot is behind the 6 black dots. So the single black dot is going to be farthest away from the screen. Make sure you connect the other side of the ribbon cable to the TruTrack 2 control box. You should click up the tabs on the side. Line the TruTrack 2 control box up so that when you drop the tracking system down in, the TruTrack will be in a void here, not underneath the circuit board. If your tracking system sits too low in the stance mat, you may need to adjust the bolts that are legs. There are 6 of them. Adjusting those bolts will raise this up so that it sits flush with the stance mat around it. With power behind the computer, I'm going to plug in the provided power strip to this power strip. Next, get your projector box enclosure. You're going to want to set it this way so you can plug the power in. You will see the 2 fans turn on. These 2 fans need to be running to cool the projector. If they are not running, the projector will overheat. Make sure that the wires line up with these notches so that they are not cut by the edge of the projector box enclosure. I have lined up all of my wires with this outside edge cut out, so when I set it down and the projector is covered, all of the wires are going through that one notch in the back. Before you set the projector box down, take the lens cover off of the front of the projector and set it to the side. Also, extend the rear feet of the projector all the way out. Unfold the turf. You may need to adjust it at the back again. You may need to adjust the stance mat so that the turf is flush along the front. Next, we are going to be hooking up the touchscreen monitor. First, flip the monitor over so you can see the bottom, and we are going to be plugging 3 cables into this side. First, we're going to hook up the power. Next, we're going to be hooking up the USB. And remember, Your HDMI cable might be labeled. If there is a label, display will be marked on this side. Display at the monitor, source at the computer. Now we'll plug in the rest of the cables. This is the other side of the USB from the touchscreen. When you wire the HDMI that came from the touchscreen monitor, you will need to use DVI to HDMI adapter. This will plug in to the HDMI cable, and then this will plug into the back of the video card. When connecting the video wires, make sure that you are using the correct set. The set that we will want is here in the center of the computer, and the connectors are vertical. Do not to use these ones on the left. Only use these. Now we're going to take the two cables that we ran earlier, the serial cable coming from the TruTrack 2 control box and the HDMI cable coming from the projector. The projector's HDMI cable will plug straight into the video card and the HDMI slot. You will not need an adapter for that one. The serial cable will plug in here towards the bottom of the computer, tighten the thumb screws, take the power cable for the computer, plug this into the back of the computer. Now, if you would like to ease setup, hook up the provided keyboard and mouse, install the Wi-Fi antenna. Yours may be black, but the connectors should look the same. They screw into these gold connectors here. If you are going to be using a wired network, make sure you plug in the Cat 5 cable now as well. Once everything is connected, we can turn the computer around, power on the PC, as well as the touchscreen, and also we're going to go power on the projector.